Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Today we're sticking with the space theme, but switching things up a bit. We're going to talk about the programming language C#. I want to quote something Elon Musk once said. Education should be like a video game. So today, let's play a little game. I'll try to explain C# as if we were inside a space-themed video game.
The first thing you'll need is a software where you can write C# code. I recommend using Visual Studio Code. It's free, lightweight, and available for both Mac and Windows. Once you have VS Code installed, make sure to also download the .NET SDK, which lets you build and run C# applications. You can get it from Microsoft's official website. Next, create a new console app. It's the simplest type of project and perfect for beginners. This will generate a starter file called program.cs, which includes the main function, the entry point of your program. Awesome. Now you're ready to write your first lines of code. Just hit the Start button or run .NET Run in the terminal and launch your programming journey into the cosmos. Let's finally start writing some code. The first thing we can do is print a message to the screen. In C#, it's super simple. We use the console, WriteLine, function. For example, we can write console.WriteLine, hello world. Or, if you want to make it personal, you can write whatever message you like, such as console, WriteLine, ciao, mondo. Now, when you run the program, you'll see that a console window opens, your message appears, but then it closes immediately. That's because the program finishes running too fast. To keep the window open, we can add this line, console.readKey.semicolon. This tells the program to wait for you to press a key before closing. Perfect. Now let's run the code and see what happens. Alert! Alert! Incoming message from Central Command. Rookie programmer, answer this question to level up.
Question of the day. What are the foundations of programming? You have 3 options. Ready? Go. Multiple options with a little humor. A. The foundations are the building blocks of the computer. If you can't find them, no code. B. The foundations are variables, conditions, cycles, and functions. C. The foundations of programming?
Think about it. What is the right answer in your opinion? Write it in the comments. 3 dots, 2 dots, 1, time's up. And the correct answer is...
Correct answer. B. Variables, conditions, cycles, and functions. These are the basic tools of every programming language. If you know how to use them, you can create anything, from simple programs to video games and space rockets. Alright, we've completed our first little game. Did you enjoy it? Let me know in the comments below. Now let's move on and answer a key question. What is a variable? Variables are one of the core building blocks of programming. You can think of them as containers that store data, like labeled boxes, where you keep something inside. To declare a variable in C#, we follow a simple format. Type, name, value. Here's a concrete example. Int I, 56. Int is the type of the variable. In this case, an integer. I is the name of the variable. 56 assigns the initial value to it. In simple words, we just created a box called I that holds the number 56. We can then use that variable anywhere in our code to print it, change it, use it in math, and more. For example, console, WriteLine I, and the console will print 56. There are many different types of values you can use for a variable. We might make a more in-depth video about this topic later on. Here are some of the most common types. Int, for whole numbers, no decimal point, such as 5, -3, or 42. Float. For decimal numbers with limited precision, like 3.14 or negative 0.5. Double. Similar to float, but with greater precision, more digits after the decimal point. Bool. For Boolean values, meaning logical, true or false. Char. For a single character, such as A, Z, or 1. String. For a sequence of characters, basically text, like hello world or password 23. We can concatenate two strings using the plus operator. For example, string message, hello world, string variable. Here you go. String result, message plus variable, count, result. The output will be the combination of the two strings. Another fundamental concept in programming is functions. To define a function, we need to specify the return type. If the function does not return any value, we use the keyword void. Example, void test function, int parameter. Function body. This function takes an input parameter and returns nothing. If we want the function to return a value, for example, a boolean, we write bool second function, string parameter. Function body return true. Or call a function. We simply write its name, followed by the parameters, in parentheses, if any. For example, test function, 5. However, you might see an error from the compiler if you try to call a non-static function from within a static context. This happens because a static function cannot directly access non-static members of the class. The concept of a static function is a bit more advanced, so don't worry too much about it for now. To fix the issue easily, let's make both functions static, void, test function, int parameter, function, body, static, bool, second function, string parameter, function, body, return true. Now, we can call the second function and pass in the required parameter, bool, result, or second function, hello. The returned value is stored in the variable result.
Great! Those were the basics of functions. Now let's look at something else. We're going to talk about the if statement and conditions. It's very simple. To write an if statement, we use the keyword if, followed by a condition in parentheses, and then use curly braces to wrap the block of code to execute. Example, if, condition. Code to execute if the condition is true. A condition is just an expression that returns either true or false. We can write comparisons such as x less than 10, less than x greater than 10, greater than x less than or equal to 10, less than or equal to x greater than or equal to 10, greater than or equal to x equal to 10, equal to x, 10, not equal to the exclamation mark symbol is used for negation. For example, true becomes false. You can also call functions that return a Boolean value and use them as conditions. For instance, you can use the second function we created earlier, if, second function, hello. This block will execute if the function returns true. We can combine multiple conditions using logical operators. We can do this with the AND operator or the ALL keyword. For example, the condition will be true if a value is less than 10 and equal to 5. We can also group conditions using parentheses to control the order of evaluation. If either the first or the second condition is true, we will get true. Now, if the condition is true, the code block inside the curly braces will be executed. Let's write console.writeLine, open parenthesis. 5 is less than 10 close parenthesis. The result is true. After the if block, we can also add an else statement. The else code block will only run if the condition is false. Let's make the condition false and run it. Now the result is false.
Another way to test conditions is by using the switch statement. We use switch on a variable and write all the different case options depending on its value. Each case corresponds to a specific value, and we write the code to execute for that value. We end each case block appropriately, for example, with a comment like /first case to describe it. There is also the default case, which is executed when the variable doesn't match any of the specified values. On this site, we also have arrays, which are containers that hold multiple variables of the same homogeneous type. To define an array, we write the type followed by square brackets, like this, int myArray. In this case, we have an array of integers. By default, if not initialized, the array will be set to null. If the value is null, it needs to be initialized. To do this, we write new int and specify the type of the array along with its size. For example, int numbers, new int. This initializes an array that can hold 5 int variables. At this point, all 5 values in the array are set to 0, which is the default value for integers. Alternatively, you can directly initialize the array with specific values without specifying the size. Int numbers versus new int 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here, the array is already populated with the values we chose. Keep in mind that arrays have a fixed size, meaning the size cannot be changed after initialization. If you need a dynamic size, you can use a list instead. To use a list, write list followed by the type in angle brackets less than greater than. You also need to initialize the list using new list. For example, list number list mass new list. Now you can dynamically add elements to the list using the add method, number list add 10, number list add 20. As we mentioned earlier, an array has a fixed size, while a list is dynamic. This means we can add or remove elements from a list at any time. For example, to add a value to a list, number list, add 30, and to remove a value, number list, remove 10. These are fundamental concepts when working with collections. Now let's talk about loops. To loop through a collection, we can use the for-arc loop. It's a clean and simple way to perform an action on every element in a collection. Here's the syntax. For each int number in number list, console, write line, number. In this example, int is the type of elements in the collection. Number is the iteration variable. Number list is the collection we are looping through. We also have the for loop, which is divided into 3 parts, each separated by a semicolon. We also have a list called country. First, we get the number of elements in the list. Then we use console write line to print each item, so we can see its position in the list. We also have the while loop. Here it is. The while loop keeps running as long as a condition is true. It's useful when we don't know in advance how many times we need to repeat an action. For example, we can use it to go through a list until we reach the end. Hey guys, that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. It was a bit different than usual, and that it sparked a bit of curiosity too.